Today we're doing closure. Now with closure, you are expected to work quietly on your own, so independent work for the entire class period. The other thing that's expected for closure is that you are using your class time to finish that. If you do not finish your closure during class time, it will be homework and you will be expected to have it done by the next class period, which would be Monday in this case. Now you would open your book to closure. So we would be on chapter 1, and here it is, chapter 1 closure. And we would start on the first problem. So here's closure 1-62. And you'd work through all of the problems. So in this case, we're working through CL 1-68. CL 1-69, we actually do a form of this on our yellow target sheet, so you do not need to do this problem. When you finish with your closure, the next step is to correct your work. The closure answers are on the very next page, so take your time to correct those problems. Then what you need to do next is you need to get out your sheet and you need to fill in the boxes that have a CL after them. On this sheet there's 3. So I would find 1-63 and I would score it with that 10-point scale that we use, like this. So 10 to 5, where would you fall for the problem that you just corrected? Once you have all your problems corrected, then you need to fill in your anticipated test scores. So if we look down here, we're just going to look at 3 and 5 today. So on here, for I can compute fractions, I have 3 scores, an 8, a 6, and a 6. Now I don't want to average those. Instead, I want to look at the trend. I started high, and then I went low, and then I repeated that same score again. So I would stop and think, okay, I'm not doing so well on this. Maybe I need to practice a little more, and I'm struggling. So I would give myself a 6. Now looking down at the bottom, at the 5th target here, I can calculate mean and median. I have a 6, an 8, and a 9. This time I started low and I worked up higher. Now I'm not quite at mastery because that would be 10 multiple times repeated, but I do have an 8 and a 9 next to each other. So I would assume that I'm going to be about an 8 for an anticipated test score. So I would write that in. Now what this does is once I have all of my anticipated test scores figured out, I can take a moment and say, okay, where should my priorities go when I need to start studying for this test? I got a 6 in computing fractions, and I got an 8 in calculating mean. The 6 is lower than the 8, so I should practice computing fractions. So I might practice the 3 problems there again. I might go online to the 8th grade math website and find that resource where I can find practice problems, or maybe even going into your textbook to the extra practice in the back. So in this case, that would be checkpoint 1. And you've got some operations with fractions. So you would have lots of practice over here to work through, along with the answers on the next page. So use your resources, boys and girls. Work hard and get a lot done.